Investing in Apple stock, Intel in trouble, and Canva is raising prices. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Take Control Books, one of the very best sources of clear, concise information on not only Apple's various operating systems, but also key Apple and third-party utilities and more. Visit TakeControlBooks.com and start your library today. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's MacVoices Live on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. You can join us live on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We have some of our friends showing up in there now. Hope to have more. It's sort of one of those off weeks where we're all trying to remember what night it is because we had a long holiday weekend here in the U.S. So it feels like a Monday night when it's actually a Tuesday night. So, and last week we did it on Wednesday, which just confused the daylights out of everything. So we're stable back at Tuesday, at least for a little while now, and we're going to stay this way as best we can. A number of things to talk about, as always. Some controversial, some maybe not so much. But before we get to that, let's find out who you're going to hear talking about them. As usual, in the top left of my corner, top left of my screen, top left corner of my screen. See, I told you it was an off night. David Ginsburg. David, good to have you.
I'm glad to be here, Chuck. Thanks for having me. And yes, looking forward to the conversation. Always great to be here every week.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've no matter what work day of the week it is, I always enjoy Tuesday nights.
Absolutely.
Marty Jencius is here. Marty, I'm afraid to ask, did you have any surgeries this week?
No surgeries this week. It was a little disappointing that way. Still have all my parts.
Okay, good. Glad to hear that. Should we have an update on any particular parts?
We got a face palm out of Eric.
Yes.
Did you guys hear about the guy that they took the wrong part out of?
Yeah, I did hear that.
Really?
Really?
I've heard stories like that before, but I don't know which one you're talking about, Jim.
Went in for gallbladder, lost his kidney. Liver. Lost his liver.
No, liver.
Wow. Liver. Whoa.
And his life. He died immediately.
Oh. Wow. Okay, so no jokes on that one. Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
Lawsuit.
Oof. Yeah, really.
It may have happened a while ago because the story is lawsuit.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I bet it doesn't even get that far.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is not the first time that particular doctor has removed the wrong thing.
Wow. Needs to be barred.
Yeah, I'll say.
Well, to be fair, he was using an old operations game as his diagram.
Too soon.
Yeah, way too soon.
Yeah.
I had to move it out of the dark into the light.
Well, how many times have you heard? And Marty, I can't remember if you said you did this, but people will take a Sharpie or something and write on themselves.
Yeah,
the other leg.
Yeah, they wrote on my hand. Yes,
on internal organs. Although I believe the story said that there was something written on the wrong organ.
Oh, they wrote it on the wrong. Ooh. Okay, so now the plot thickens. We'll have more on this in another show. Eric Bolden is here with another of his trademark backgrounds.
Just
Eric,
checking I'm all here. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So
get out the pen. Save.
So what do you have for us this week, Eric?
This week we have a hummingbird.
Oh, really?
Ruby-throated hummingbird. So it's really tiny. You can kind of tell because this is a birch tree, and you can sort of see where over here someplace the kind of that whatever things those are hanging out from a bird. They're not very big. They're pretty tiny.
Yeah, so, thank you for that reference, because now you're right. I didn't appreciate how small the bird was.
Hanging out, guarding everything it could see from any interlopers.
So
They're very fast. There was a lot of ducking involved.
Eric, how many? Serious question. How many shots does it take you to get something like that? I mean, how many pictures do you take to get a decent one like that? And on average,
that was maybe 16.
Okay,
Mostly because they move quickly. I have a lot. He landed in a spot that was too dark. This one happened to be high enough up, and there was sunlight. So.
Interesting. Hey, do me a favor, would you? You had those glasses on a minute ago that you were looking at webs. Put those on for a second.
These?
Yeah. Okay, now tell me, does he look like Morpheus from The Matrix or not?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Hope you did a screenshot.
I have to do the clip so that it's a little closer.
Yeah.
Oops.
And he's even got the red pill and the blue pill. It's perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect. Yeah. Yes.
It's not the glasses, but I always thought he looked like Colin Powell.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Brett.
It's his alter ego.
That's on the weekend.
Yeah. Making that impression is Mr. Jim Ray. Jim, good to see you, as always.
Hello.
Hello.
They don't call him the best color man in the business for nothing,
Yeah. Also with us, Mr. Web Bixby. And Web, I think that we know what the background is. It's one of your wife's quilts, but it's a particular quilt.
Well, this one is in honor of the National Football League begins this week, and the first game is on Thursday night, where Kansas City is playing the Baltimore Ravens here in Kansas City. So I just thought for Marty especially that I wanted to get another plug in for the Kansas City Chiefs. So there you go, Marty.
Someday, Webb, you will be the Bears. Don't worry about it. It'll happen.
I will take that. And spit it out. So anyway,
yeah.
Well, thank you, Chuck. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Thursday night game. That means it's televised, broadcast, whatever, on Amazon, right?
NBC.
NBC. Okay. I thought Amazon had Thursday nights, but maybe it's NBC.
It is, but the opening game. This is the Sunday night game on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Which makes as much sense as anything else in this world right now.
It's the NFL, so.
Wow.
Which stands for not for long, So.
Oh boy, it is going to be a fun night with this group. Well, let's start off with something positive. Citi picked Apple as their top stock pick for 2025. Which
Citibank.
Oh.
Which Citi. I thought was particularly interesting, given that as we recorded this, the Apple closed down over 8 points today. Now, that's probably indicative of everything else going on in the world, and there's a lot going on negative. But still, it's nice to see somebody crowning Apple, with that kind of promise for the future.
But you did say top AI stock.
AI.
Top AI. Okay. That's true. Sorry. And that makes it even more interesting. So, Marty, I'm going to turn to you as our resident AI guy.
I think this is, for what it's worth, it maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's sort of saying we think people are going to recognize the importance of Apple AI's design and how they're managing AI, and they're going to be drawn to that, to Apple and hence Apple stock because of that, them predicting that people are going to be attracted to the AI service that Apple provides over other AI services. So that's my take on it. Yeah, I had to read it a couple of times, and then I saw they're talking about the top AI stock, which is fascinating in that. And the projections from what they talk about are pretty good, and it'll take time for consumers to test out all the new capabilities. And I think we have some articles later that talk about other companies adopting AI strategies and how they're doing it. So I won't go in there, but that's what I think it's about.
We've talked a little bit about it here. When Apple Intelligence AI, their version of AI, was announced, that it seemed to solve at least some, if not most, of the problems that some of the other AI models have. Now, since then, there have been some pushback on Apple's training of AI and all that, which is inevitable. But I'm with you. I feel like there are some really good reasons for this, not just because it's Apple, but because of the approach.
Yeah, that's my, again, I think I might be Pollyannish the way I think about it, but that's my thought, that they're saying as people are drawn to AI, or as they have to make AI choices, which I think we're all going to wind up doing in the future, where are we going to get our content from and where are we going to interact with the content? I think they feel much more secure with Apple's strategy than other strategies.
Yeah. Webb, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think, good for Apple, and appreciate Citibank recognizing Apple and their approaches to AI. Otherwise, let's see what happens. Let's see what they come out with. I think that one of the complaints about Apple is, while they do have a good approach, they're still way behind the 8 ball as far as their development of AI. So we've seen thus far, and we haven't seen much. But I think the other well-known players, whether it's going to be the OpenAI model, or whether it's going to be what Google's doing or whatever, they got a year, 2 years head start, and Apple's trying to come back. I wish them well. I'm not going to say they're wrong. I just think that it's on the other hand, it's just hard to bet against Apple sometimes, and that's how I'm kind of interpreting this one. I'm happy for them. I think it's a good recognition, but I want to see what Apple puts on the table.
Eric?
I think the other thing that Apple is going for it is they're refreshing all their devices. Their new phone's coming out. They had the new iPad recently. Soon to have a bunch of new Macs, all of which are powerful enough to be responsive, which for on-device requests through Apple Intelligence. And I don't think that's the case of all of the other devices out there. They're either having to send the requests across the network and do it remotely, or the response time is slow. So that's something I'm kind of looking forward to, is once Apple rolls stuff out, how fast is it? The fact that they're not supporting a bunch of models and saying, yep, it's got to be relatively recent, it's got to have enough memory, is an indication that they actually, maybe looked at how quickly you get an answer.
Okay. Jim, Dave, any thoughts on this?
No, I think the stock is it's been pretty steady for quite a long time. This is just going to enhance it. Once Apple does the announcements of we anticipate the iPhone 16 and our Apple Intelligence, and I think the big key is going to be where is it going to be when they announce it. It's probably not going to be ready just yet. So that's why I think Citi said 2025, because it's going to need to progress a little bit here. So look for the next few months of more and more discussions about Apple Intelligence and seeing where it goes. But it's definitely, it's exciting times, I think.
Yeah. I am going to call an audible because this is something I intended to pick up and then missed it. But to Eric's point, with the on-device power of the M series chips and the way the rumors are tending, and I know we hate rumors here, but it looks like we will have most of the Mac models have an M4 by the end of the year, or pretty close to all of them. And last week, CNBC was reporting that Intel was in talks with Morgan Stanley, trying to, I guess, fix their business that seems to be flagging because they're not keeping up the way they should or delivering things from the competition. So, it's one more strategic advantage for Apple.
How is Morgan Stanley going to fix Intel's problems?
They can't fix the tech stuff, Jim, but I think they'll be fixing some of the financing, and some of the hopefully managing the stocks better. Web?
Oh, I was just going to say it's the financials, not the financing, but Intel's got some interesting problems. If you look at what their stock's been doing, I want to pull that up. I was just looking at the Apple chart, and Apple's pretty impressive, especially on a year-to-date basis. It's up. Their 52-week high is 237. Their low is 164. They're at 222 today. They kind of had a negative day, but I'm keeping my Apple stock. I'll put it that way. So because it's performed really well.
Yeah. Next thing is, it feels like we talk about this, and there are even other articles later tonight if we get to them. But Microsoft now is appealing, I guess, to the UK regulators, complaining about Apple and cloud gaming. Shades of Epic. But what I really find interesting about this, again, is that they're trying to use the UK to pressure Apple as opposed to protesting in the US, in spite of the fact that Apple is under some type of regulatory investigation in the US. So this feels suspiciously like picking that district in Texas that is favorable and is anti-big company and filing lawsuits there. I don't really care about gaming. I don't know if anybody here does, but it's just the idea that this is the way Microsoft is approaching it, maybe following on the heels of Epic's success in this jurisdiction. Anybody have hair? Okay, apparently not.
I don't know if you want to say that Microsoft is piling on. I think that there are some things that Microsoft wish Apple would do differently, and they got the great opportunity right now to align themselves with some of the other European rulings to try to modify behavior. I wish them well.
I like the modify behavior. That's well said. That's well said. One of the things that really hit today sort of long and loud was that Canva, and I don't know if any of you are Canva users, but Canva is increasing their prices by up to 300% because of including AI features in the it's alleged. They say that the reason they're doing it is because of the cost of delivering those AI features. And to be fair, there is a free model that I don't believe includes any AI. But they're also ramping this up. There's been discussion that I heard today, and I didn't make massive notes because while I'm a Canva user, I'm not going to subscribe at some crazy high number. But it feels like Canva's trying to slide toward the Adobe side and turn itself into a professional tool a little more than it's in the past has been. Not that it didn't deliver professional results, but that they're going for that professional market that Adobe has pretty much had locked up. So I don't know where this is going to go. I think it's interesting And I think now we're going to start to see some other people try to backfill if they stick with this pricing model and say, okay, we're going to give you a much more affordable price and maybe, a lower feature set, but the kind of feature set that everybody wants. Dave,
Sorry,
go Marty. Are you?
Yeah, I'm a Canva user, and but I am not. This article talks a lot about teams. So you can have 5 users on a team account, and I just have an individual account. I was trying to tease out what the price changes would be for an individual account, and am unclear that I'm going to face that kind of increase. I don't use their AI, although when I've attempted to use it, it generally generates kind of crappy art. And I wind up going back to creating my own templates and doing that when I want to create some design. So I'm not impressed. I'm unclear from this if some of this was the dramatic 300% was a bit of a clickbait, because it seems to be focused on it could be up to 300% with certain aspects of it, and they talk a lot about 5-member teams going from 120 to 300, well, to 500, and then with a 40% discount, 40% discount for the first year, really down to 300. So I don't know if it applies to me as an individual user. If you look in my background, you can see all of my team members I'm at. So I'm paying for an individual account.
Barry in the chat room. Hang on, Dave. I'll let you get in a second. Barry in the chat room has corrected me and says, yes, the free Canva demos, our free Canva does include AI generative features. So that's something I guess I've missed. So thank you, Barry, for correcting me. Dave?
No, I'm just going to say, Canva has got a lot of appeal to people that want to have real ease of use of design in something like a team environment. I mean, you see this in a lot of software type packages where they want to offer, you've got 5, 10, 20 people that want to be able to use this. Mural comes to mind as one that does that, and that's even more of an corporate type of piece of software for working on organizing, designing, all that stuff. So I mean, the increase is, you add this number, but the team pricing tends to be higher as it is anyway. So I guess they think they can kind of get away with it.
Yeah, and that's where I felt like it's trying to push into Adobe's territory. Is for the teams, and that's small t, not capital T, as in Microsoft Teams. That they're really trying to get those larger project people. I guess theoretically, they think they have larger pocketbooks to do it. Anybody else here use Canva, or have you played with Canva at all?
I've played with it, but I don't use it full time.
Yeah, I used it for a couple projects. Now it's been a couple years ago, but I found it really simple, and for what it did. And Marty, I was not using any generative AI at all. Just using the regular features, and it made life a lot easier for me than trying to do it from scratch. So I'm very much an advocate for Canva, even though I don't have a particular need for it. Now, but now I may go and check out their generative AI stuff now that Barry has corrected me. Thank you, Barry.
The Magic Media has always generated not stuff that, I will type in what I want, what I think is a reasonable request for Magic Media, and it just seems to come back random. It's not even close. So they better gear up pretty much a lot if they're going to expect me to pay for their AI.
Right. I mean, you being a ChatGPT OpenAI subscriber, I mean, you're already getting a lot of this image generating options. I'm sure you've utilized. And why would you want to do that with what Canva does with AI? But Canva also gives you a nice layout function that you can create layouts and that kind of stuff. That's what its advantage.
You can export in a variety of sizes and styles, and that's very convenient.
Marty, I'm curious because I know I've run into this a couple times as I've played with AI, and I think it's because I'm biased. I have something very rough in my head, but I have an idea of what I'm looking for, and I put the prompt in or try to put the prompt in, and it gives me back something that just is not even close. And so I get frustrated unless I'm just creating something kind of whimsical and, iterating on it to get it to meet my expectations as opposed to something I think, I'd like to have. So it's either a failure of AI or it's more likely it's a failure of my ability to articulate it in terms that AI will understand, at least at this point.
Well, generally AI thinks what you've asked for is what you really want. And they never question what they put out because they think what they put out is what you really want. You want to get into a generative phase with AI, or you want to use sources where if it doesn't give you what you want, then ask it again in a different way or correct it and say, no, I want this differently. And then let it do the work. It's not going to get exactly what you want on the first shot. And that's why some of these things that just generate after you put a statement in isn't helpful, particularly if you can't correct it, that it becomes a generative process. So it's not that you're doing it wrong. It might be that, and it's not that AI is necessarily putting out what it shouldn't be. It's just that you haven't created a relationship with it to be able, and the system might not allow you to do that, to be able to put in corrective things. No, I want a bigger tree, not that. Things like that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Maybe I just need, just like everything else, practice a little bit with it.
Yeah, treat it like a misbehaving adolescent that makes an attempt to fix it, and then you have to correct them again, and then you have to correct them again, and eventually they get to what they need to be doing.
Sound advice.
So Chuck, one last comment real quick.
Yeah.
I was reading the very last sentence of this article. A huge price increase also followed the Canva purchasing the company behind Affinity's creative software suite for reported several hundred million British pounds, and ahead of a potential public listing in the US in 2026. And I clicked on that link, and it took me to Canva is an Australia-based company, but they're looking to list on the on a US market. And I'm wondering if they're trying to prop up some financials, even on a speculative basis, to try to make their initial public offering a little bit more appealing. Just a thought.
No, it's an interesting thought. And again, it goes back to my comments about Adobe, that are they trying to position themselves as an alternative to Adobe, both from a user standpoint and maybe also from an investor standpoint?
Now it's turning the other way around, where Adobe is trying to put themselves up as an alternative to Canva. So.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.